85% of new managers do not get any training prior to becoming a manager.
What is microexpression?
So microexpression is an expression on the face, lasts for less than a second. It's like 1/25th of a second. 69% of managers say that they are uncomfortable communicating with their employees.
You can say everything with the right way, nothing with the wrong way.
There is a fine line between giving information and becoming your friend, which some managers, it's a fine line between that. Some managers cross that. It's not about delegating. It's not about sitting in the corner office and closing the door and acting busy. Know who they are, and also very important, let them get to know you. The teacher would ask a question on the blackboard. She would say, okay, so what is the answer to this question? And every time that happened, I would find myself, kind of like going like this to make myself look smaller, hoping that she would not see me, right? And then she'd be like, Anto. And I was like, okay.
Every time you interact with someone, you're sending signals. Signals that shape how people see you, how they feel around you, and even the outcome of your conversations. Most of us, we don't realize that we are doing it. And definitely, sometimes we are sending mixed signals to people. Even fewer of us know how to read the signals we are getting in return from other people in a conversation or in a meeting. Today, I have a special guest with me. He is a human behavior analyst, an expert in body language, microexpressions, word patterns, and even lie detection. He lived and worked in South Africa, Australia, the UK, and Cyprus. And he's helping people see what is really going on in their communication behind the words. What triggered my attention is his expertise in microexpressions, those tiny little expressions that we make with our face without even realizing it. And I have so many questions to ask about the stuff we miss as team leaders, when we are rushing, or maybe when we are multitasking, or even when we are stuck in our heads trying to communicate our message to other people. So ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Anto Paroian. Anto, welcome to the Leadership in Progress podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming.
Let me tell you something personal. In 2009, I was obsessed with this TV series. I don't know if you know about it. It was called Lie to Me.
Yeah.
And it was all about microexpressions, and there was a guy trying to understand if other people were lying and I was obsessed with that because I found this so fascinating, how body language and microexpressions and all the things we don't say, they matter at the end of the day. And then I met you, talking about microexpressions, body language, and all the things that matter beyond our words. So I'm very excited to have you here.
Likewise.
How important it is to know all this about body language, about microexpressions, about all the signals that we send with our bodies as team leaders, as managers, in our everyday conversations.
So in your everyday life, those signals that we give or the cues that we give, which are nonverbal cues, it's things that I'm not saying. So it's not something that you can process by listening to the words that I'm using. But the nonverbal cues plays a very important role, not only in business, but also in our personal lives, in relationships, and so on and so forth. Now, someone who's a manager or a team lead in a company, in an organization, they are expected to have those qualities that a manager needs to have in order to be able to lead a team, right? And to not only lead a team, but to lead a team successfully. Now, I've got a few notes with regards to a survey that was conducted back in 2020, 2021 in the US. And one of the points which was, I was completely amazed, was 85% of new managers do not get any training prior to becoming a manager. Now, majority of the time, and I'm guilty of that, majority of the time, people, when they get elevated to manager status, they think that they need training on time management, they need training on organizational skills, They need training on the operational side of things, including delegation, because that's very important when you're a manager, right? This is what I thought was what was expected of me when I became a manager. I then soon realized, in a very negative way, that those play a part in the bigger picture, right? It's not about delegating. It's not about telling people what to do. It's not about sitting in the corner office and closing the door and acting busy, which most managers, they usually do, right? It's about being in the front line. It's about leading from the front. It's about taking the leadership role and leading that team, department, organization in the direction that the organization wants to go to. So another very uncomfortable statistic is 69% of managers say that they are uncomfortable communicating with their employees. 69%. So let's take 69%, 70%. If you're there uncomfortable in speaking to the employees, what happens in team meetings? What happens in appraisals? It's just a fascinating statistic. Now, body language, microexpressions, window analytics are super important. And keep in mind that majority of the time we do things subconsciously, like the microexpressions. We can't control this. Body language, sometimes we can't control this. It happens subconsciously. So that's something that we need to be more aware of.
I will definitely come back to that. I think that it's not about what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah.
How you say it, it's much more important than what you say.
Yeah.
And I used to have a manager, he used to say to me, you can say everything with the right way, nothing with the wrong way.
True.
Because pretty much you can say everything with the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you find a way,
exactly,
you can say anything.
Yeah. And the important thing is looking at managers and the team dynamics. What you say doesn't necessarily, it's not a one size fits all. So if I have a team of 20 people, each person will take the message I'm giving in their own way. So it's not like a one size fits all. We're talking about this and that's it. And the reason why this happens is because after the meeting, people have questions, which means that not everybody in the meeting understood. Not everyone in the meeting got the content of the reason for the meeting, and obviously also on the conclusion of the meeting. So each person perceives things, understands things, processes things in a different way. So it's not always a one size fits all. That's where the manager comes in play, where if I'm speaking to a team of 20, 30 people, and I'm saying, guys, does everyone understand what we need to do as soon as we leave the office, as soon as we leave the meeting? And I'm looking at the group and I see some people looking like this and some people are like this. The people who are looking like this means that they didn't understand. Right. So I need to say, okay, guys, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, not to signal out people, just make sure everyone's on the same page. This is what we need to do. Point A, point B, and be as precise as possible. But it is super, super important to at least say it and then analyze the body language of the people, analyze the facial expressions of the people and see, did your team grasp the concept? And obviously,
it's like you make no assumptions. You make no assumptions that anyone understands. You make no assumptions that there is common sense, which is there is no common sense.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important aspects of in communication is putting aside the assumptions that we made. The assumption that you know, the assumptions that you understand what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, the assumption that you feel the same that I feel.
True.
So if we park assumptions, then how is everything different?
There's a couple of things. So, for example, you need to be able to read the room, right? Reading the room means that you need to be able to analyze the people within that room, or within that meeting, as to, do they really want to be there, first of all, right? If it's a meeting that you do on a weekly basis and there's no content, there's no benefit for your team, they're not going to be paying attention. So you might get people playing on the mobile phone, you might get people staring outside the window and so on and so forth. So you need to be able to read the room. You need to be able to understand where everybody is at that point in time.
Okay, let me pause for a moment. Our audience are team leaders, managers, supervisors, directors. Let's say that they need to know, how can I read the room? I have a meeting with 5, 10, 15 people. What are the tips you would give me as a team leader? How can I read the room? What is it that I need to pay attention to?
So again, it's not a one size fits all.
Okay.
I will tell you what I do, and I find that very user-friendly and very, very beneficial. One of the things is you don't just start with the meeting, right? So you walk in, you have your team there. You might end up making a joke For example, oh, did you guys read the news the other day? This and this happened about this superstar, for example. And you'll get their interaction. It's called the icebreaker. Every time you make a presentation, you need to have the icebreaker. Now, whether or not you know your team, you still need to have that icebreaker. Why? Because you need to get their mind to switch off from, oh, this is just another meeting, right? He's going to tell us what to do, and he's going to talk about statistics and figures and so on and so forth, and shift their mindset to, hold on, he's saying something interesting. Let's listen to this. Okay. Once you do that, you gain their attention. So that's super important. So even in an interview phase, every single interview that I've conducted, and I've conducted thousands of them, I will always start with something outside the box. So for example, you have a beautiful smile. Do you feel yourself that you smile a lot? And they might say, oh, that's a weird question to ask me. Yeah, I do smile because I'm a positive person. And then that breaks the mold of this is an interview and I have to be prim, proper, stuck up, answer the question. No, I don't want you to be the person I want you to be. I want you to be yourself. Even when you're meeting someone for the very first time in business sense or even personal sense. When you're going out with friends and you meet someone for the very first time, you don't just say, hey, my name is Anto, pleasure to meet you. I'm a human body analyst, blah, blah, blah. It's like, so, is this the first time you've been to this place? The drinks they kind of look cool. Oh, the barman is very adapted to what he's doing. I mean, you find things to be able to talk about, break the ice, and then carry on with the conversation.
And maybe connect in some ways, because
True.
Then
Yes.
I will release my anxious, or maybe I come to this meeting coming from another meeting
Yes.
with a different agenda, different feelings, different. So everybody needs to tune in to
True.
the same energy at the end of the day.
So reading in the room, I think the one thing that I like to do is just break the ice. Whether it's a meeting, team meeting, just break the ice, right? Something funny, something outside the box. Just even say, so how many people are drinking coffee? How many people are drinking tea? And then be like, oh, I'm drinking tea, I'm drinking coffee. It's not about the coffee or the tea. It's about breaking the mold, breaking the ice. And this isn't just a meeting that we're always doing on a Wednesday between 9 to 3, for example. That's the one thing I like to do. The second thing is just literally look at each person in the room. Just quickly, just have a glance and look at 10, 20 people in the room and see their seating position, right? Seating position is very important, and posture is also very important. So posture, for example, if I'm slumped and I'm leaning forward and I'm disinterested, usually take you back to school days. The teacher would ask a question on the blackboard. She would say, okay, so what is the answer to this question? And if you didn't raise your hand, the teacher would choose a student, right? And every time that happened, I would find myself, kind of like going like this to make myself look smaller, hoping that she would not see me, right? And then she'd be like, Anto. And I was like, okay. So if I'm slouched over and I'm trying to become smaller than what I am, then that's one sign that person is uncomfortable. So you need to be able to neutralize that uncomfortableness. Okay. So that's reading that person. Second thing is if their seating posture. So if we're looking at a round table, for example, which I like, and their feet are pointed outside of the circle, it shows that they're looking to leave that meeting or that conversation. They're not going to be paying attention to that meeting or that conversation. Okay. So you need to then gain their interest and throw something out there, get them to move, even put a bottle of water in front of them, put something in front of them for them to change their body posture so then they're facing the other person opposite the circle table or even square table. So even the position of the feet, where are the feet and the knees pointed? Are they pointed outwards? Okay. Or are they pointed towards you? They use it, I've seen this multiple times on dating sites. So there's like movies on TLC, for example, where they do like first date, blind date, and so on and so forth. And usually you can tell if someone is interested in the other person by the position of the feet, right? And then you have the subtle messages like the curling of the hair and the playing of the chain and, always fixing the shirt if it's a man. So that's also very important, the feet. And I think the third thing is also the eye contact, also very important. So whenever I walk into a room, I want to be able to have eye contact with at least everyone for about 2 or 3 seconds, right? Not to make it like, hello, good morning, not to make it robotic. But if I have eye contact, it means that they are there and what I'm saying, they're going to pick up and they're processing because they're looking at what I'm doing and what I'm saying. If they are, looking down or they're looking at the mobile, I don't have their attention. So I will not start a meeting if, someone is like this, writing down a piece of paper. And I say, good morning, guys. Hi, good morning, boss. Yeah, I'm good. You can start the meeting. I don't have that person's interest or their attention. So that meeting is going to be a waste. So again, it's to break that and say, okay, guys, can I ask you a quick question? Can everybody raise their hand as to who drove to work today, for example? And then as I'm writing, I'm like, what is he saying? Huh? Who drove to work? I've already broken that person's process, and then we can basically start the meeting there.
So it's about grabbing their attention and bringing everyone on the same page.
One aspect, yes. Yeah. And the second aspect is to be able to understand the team and just to look at them and, what's the body posture? Are they there? Are they happy to be there? Do they just want the meeting to be done and dusted with?
And again, to be able to do that as a team leader, because pace is fast. I mean, in the everyday work life environment, everything moves fast. You move from a meeting to another meeting. You have your goals, you have your tasks. So you get into a meeting, and then it goes back to we need to slow down to speed up. Again, it is about the outcome of the meeting at the end of the day. But you need to slow down to be able to see how you are going to run this meeting. It's not about just ticking the box and do what you came here to do.
There is an outcome.
It should be. So again, we go back to what I'm saying again and again, slow down to speed up. Because unless you slow down, observe, be open to what is happening there, you will miss all those signals. We will miss the engagement. And then the outcome will not be the one that you thought. Or maybe the outcome will be the one that you thought, but no one else is agree on that. And you leave the meeting, you think that you agreed some next steps, and then you realize that people don't come back because there was no agreement, there was no engagement when you did that conversation.
So as you were saying this, I was playing out an experience. So I was in a company as a consultant in the recruiting phase. And this company had chosen a specific person to offer the position to. And they asked me to be in the agreement phase, but just as a consultant, not to say anything, just to observe the candidate and obviously the HR person. So they went through the process, and eventually the HR person said, okay, and let's say Maria, for example, Maria Mu, and the salary is going to be 1,750 gross, and you have a parking spot and blah, blah, blah. Okay, are you happy? And Maria looked up and she goes, mm-hmm. And then they carried on. They signed the contract. They gave the contract to this Maria lady. And Maria said, okay, can I have some time to think about it before I sign? Because I need to read it. I want to take it home. Okay. She left. HR manager, the line manager who was hiring this person, they were happy. They're like, oh, Maria's going to join the team. She's going to bring a lot of experience and so on and so forth. So I was like, guys,
I don't think so.
Is it just me or is it? I think it's just me. She's not joining. She's not coming. And they're like, what do you mean? She loves the office. And I said, yeah, she loves the office. She loves you. She loves the environment. She loves the culture. She loves the job. She loves the challenge. She loves the opportunity. But 1,750 is too low. It's just too low. And I could tell it's too low. And they're like, no, it's not. And she didn't say anything. And I was like, of course she didn't say anything, but she said it without saying it. Word analytics, right? Eye contact, body posture. And anyway, long story short, she phoned her and she said, thank you very much, but I found something else. And they were like, oh, no, you see, it wasn't about the salary. She just found something else. I said, look, she found something else because it paid more, right? And she didn't want to have this argument of pay me more because I'm worth more. And then you go into the negotiation phase, which isn't really nice to be the foundation of I joined the company because I had to negotiate my salary. So when you're talking about, there has to be substance and so on and so forth, and they don't pay attention to those signals during a meeting, that was one thing where she said, mm-hmm. She acknowledged with a mm-hmm. So an is not an acknowledgement. It's like whatever for me. It's not a yes.
We need to recognize the signals.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've done some work on that, and you've done a lot of more work on microexpressions and body language. But what about the average team leader? Do they need to become experts in body language? How they can easily? What is the 80-20 rule? What is it that they need to pay attention to get the most out of it while they learn how to interpret those messages? Because we can all have, body language and microexpressions training, but I think this is not the case.
Yeah. We can incorporate this in like another gazillion podcast sessions. Again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, right? For me, what worked best initially, before I knew about body language and microexpressions and Paul Ekman and all that stuff, it was just to sit down with each team member and do an audit. and say, hey, who are you? You're Maria. Okay, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? I don't know what your hobbies are. Do you ride a bicycle? Do you know how to play chess? I mean, things to learn more about each individual person. So you're you're establishing that connection, okay? And not only the connection, but I'm also establishing the baseline of who you are. Okay, so if you are always smiling and happy, and you're always telling me jokes when we're having one-to-ones, and tomorrow morning you walk in and you don't look happy, not sad, but you don't look happy, for me that's a red flag, that's a yellow flag. And I would say,
what's going on?
Let's quickly have a cup of coffee.
And I like that because it's a simple rule. Get to know your people. Get to know your people. And if you think about it, we have our friends. We know what's wrong with them when they show up one day and they are not okay. We have our spouse. We have our families. And we, just because we know the human behind the face, behind the body, we can recognize when something is off.
Because it goes above or beyond their baseline. And the baseline is who they are, right? I'm a fun type of person. I'm never serious. I'm always fun. I'm always making jokes. I'm always smiling. But there are days where I need to be serious because I have, something on my mind that's stressing me out, for example. So if someone who knows me says, okay, I'm not going to ask Anto for a raise today because today is a bad day to ask for a raise or a promotion, right? But you need to understand each team person. And I think going back to, the 69% of managers say that they're uncomfortable in communicating with their employees, that plays a big role in that process. I was, a company that I used to work for, one of the managers there hated doing appraisals for his team because he was always stressing about the confrontation, right? And because he was stressing about the confrontation, he would always have confrontation. Okay, first of all. Second of all, it's like you are foreseeing the future because you don't have good communication skills. You know that person is entitled for more, but you feel that you shouldn't be giving them more. And, you have your reasons, but you know that you're going to get confrontation. So for him, it was like, okay, let's quickly sit down. Can I send you an email? Maybe it's better. And it's like, no, you can't do an appraisal via email. It doesn't work that way, right? If you're saying that you're very happy with my performance, then it needs to show. And the only way that a company can show or my manager can show me is by giving me something over and above than what's expected of me as in the form of a salary, whether it's an increase, whether it's a day off. I mean, even small things. I'm not talking about monetary. I'm just talking about even recognition, just a badge saying superstar for the month. Something even silly that shows that you're acknowledging that I've done a good job. The one thing that works for me personally is just to sit down, speak to them, get to know them, do an audit. Like an auditor goes into a company and does an audit from A to Z, exactly the same thing. Know your team, know who they are, and also very important, let them get to know you. Okay. Right? It's not just one way. This is a tango. You need someone to lead, but you need two people to dance. So it's not like I'm just going to get all this information about Vaso and I'm not going to say anything about me. I need to give you some information about me, but there is a fine line between giving information and becoming your friend, which some managers, it's a fine line between that. Some managers cross that line and they say, oh, we're just friends. We go out for drinks. We go out for this. We go out for that. I understand that. But then you just dig yourself a deep hole when they say, oh, Anto, can I take a day off tomorrow? And they really can't. You can't afford them to take a day off because of the workload. And you're like, oh, I'm not really sure. And that's difficult. But no, come on. And then we'll go out for drinks tomorrow. And it's like, how do I say no to this person? Yeah.
And because we're afraid of this situation of becoming friends, many of the team leaders, they go to the other side, not revealing anything, keeping their distance. Yeah. But we forget that there is a middle in that.
Yes. For example, one of the first things I told my very first team. So I was a sales manager many years ago, and the first thing I told my team in my first meeting, I remember this clear as day. I was like, guys, I need to tell you something, and I haven't told this to anybody. Only my close friends and my family knows. And they're like, oh, Anto, what? What is it? And I said, I don't know how to swim. And people are like, what? You're from South Africa. There's like swimming pools everywhere. You're living in Cyprus. It's an island. Like, how can you not swim? So just by that small thing, giving personal information, it let them bond I mean, there was that level of bond, like I'm sharing something with them, and then they felt like, oh, I don't know how to ride a bicycle, and I don't know how to swim as well, and I'm scared of heights. So it opens up that it's okay to share, like we said, in a business environment.
And this is how we show also our vulnerability. I mean, showing that I'm not perfect. I'm not here because I know everything. I'm not here because I have all the answers.
Yeah.
So being able to show vulnerability and show the aspects of yourself, maybe some weaknesses, maybe some things, and at the same time keep the boundaries of not becoming everyday friends and family.
Yeah.
I like I like the story of Netflix. They say we are not a family. We are a team.
Sure, yeah.
We are a team,
Yes.
and it's a different thing. And many team leaders, they say, okay, I want us to be a family. No, you don't want you to be a family. A family don't stretch each other. Family don't give constructive feedback, and they don't delegate, and they don't respect always each other.
Yeah.
They don't empower always each other.
True.
A family is a family. You're not a family.
Yeah.
You're a team.
Again, at the end of the day, it's a manager needs to know his or her team. They need to understand how his or her team works.
And they need to also be able to let some people go if they don't fit the team, if they don't belong to the team, if they don't perform. So having this feeling like we are a family, you will be in a very difficult position, let go of your brother, sister, mother, father. And this is very difficult. But you realize that you're a team. You need to have each other backs. You need to be there for them. You need to do all this stuff that high-performing teams are doing. Show vulnerability, listen, ask questions, be there for them, but you're not a family.
Yeah. The other important thing is in a family unit, you know who to count on, right? I can always say, if I'm having a bad day, I can phone my father and he will give me an advice, right? I know who to count on. When you're a manager, majority of the time, you don't know who to count on within your team. And that's also very important in my opinion. And I've gone through that process where I was like, if I have a really bad day and things are going wrong, who do I count on from my team members? I don't know. So at a very young age, I started developing this rule where every meeting, a team member would lead that week's meeting. So if I had a team of 10 people, for example, we had the agenda, the meeting notes, and I would get each individual in the team to run the meeting for that specific week or that specific day. And you could see the people that were prim and proper, prepared, printed out, everything, pen, paper, and everything. You could see the people that were spur of the moment, but they had these fantastic ideas outside the box, right? And then you had the type of people that were to the T, I'm not going to go left, I'm not going to go right, I'm going to do as I've been told. I had some people saying, Anto, what do you want me to say in the meeting? And it's like, you have the agenda, you have the points, but you can say whatever. She's like, oh, okay, but I don't want to say something wrong. Okay, now that type of person, I can't elevate to leading a team to show confidence because she or he wasn't confident enough at that point in time. So if I'm going to elevate that person, I need to make sure that I work on mentoring that person to become more confident, work on the points that he or she is more confident on, and then build on top of this. But even these small things within the body language, I remember the first day I went in, I said, guys, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Each team member is going to run the weekly meeting. And just looking across the room, you had people saying, wow, right, this is my opportunity to shine. And other people are like, oh man, crap, what do I do? What do I say? I don't know how to run a meeting. You could hear them.
And I like that you started with these numbers and the studies, because if 85% of managers, they don't get the training, but probably 85% of people feel like they should know. So I'm in that position and I feel like other people expect me to know how to do it.
Yes.
But I never received the training. I am a solo high performer star. Someone else promoted me because they believe in me. Nobody gave me... By the way, this is also my personal story. I was a solo star. Then I became a sales manager. And then I like to describe this phase of my life like leadership DIY. Do it yourself. Learn how to do it yourself. Leadership DIY, literally, because I had to make all this reading, listening to podcasts, how to be a good manager, how to be a good leader, how to coach my team, make all these mistakes, fail, succeed again and again and again. And And I see that from what I'm doing now, the leadership coaching and the team development, I see that many leaders out there, they are in this position. They are trying to figure everything out by themselves. Nobody actually trained them how to be a leader. They are all focused on the KPIs and the targets and the goals and the purpose and the vision and what it is that we want to achieve. But we neglect to address the how.
Yeah.
How are we are going to run a team.
So I was in the same position, being elevated to sales manager, being a performer in sales, top performing sales manager was the normal transition, right? It's a progression. And then I find myself, looking left, looking right and saying, okay, what do I do now? I know how to do sales, but I don't know how to manage a team and lead a team and do meetings and KPIs and statistics and closing ratios. I don't know these. This isn't me, right? And then at that point in time, my sales started dropping. So the company's like, hey, man, you're our best performer. We put you in this position to lead the team, and your stats are becoming worse than the worst performer in your team. And I felt bad. I felt like I let myself down and everyone else down. Yeah. And, we're talking about 20 years ago. I didn't have the ability to go online and search, LinkedIn tutorials and this and that. So how can I improve myself? I literally had to learn from the people around me. And the companies that I worked in, most of my ex-bosses or C-level people in these companies, I learned something from each person along the way. One of my very first bosses, I learned mind mapping. I didn't know what mind mapping was. And he phoned me one day, he's like, Anto, come to my office. I was like,
You were lucky to have these models to take from them, because not all of the team leaders, they have the good role models to take from.
So when I was introduced to mind mapping, I was like, okay, so this is what a managing director uses. This is one of the tools that they use to become successful. So that kind of spurred this interest in my mind to say, what do other managers do? So every time I was going to like a tax lawyer and I'll say, how do you guys run a meeting, for example? And they would give me their feedback. And I've literally taken thousands and thousands of people's feedback. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's how you do your stuff, right? Again, it's not a one size fits all. So, through 20, 25 years of being in the financial industry specifically, I've learned so much by asking questions, by just looking at people. How do they do? Just looking at the stuff that they do, which I say, okay, Anto, make a mental note, don't do that. And I've made mistakes along the way. Like you said, I've made plenty of mistakes, but I've learned from those mistakes. And those mistakes are not something negative. It's just a learning curve for me. Yeah. As an experience to say, okay, never do that again. Don't do that. Go process this. You could have done this differently. But just to take the main point, I think the main point for me personally was to accept the fact that I'm not a good manager, right? I'm not a good manager. I don't know everything. Yeah. And then you kind of slowly build on top of this. And it's okay, maybe I don't know this, I have time management, blah, blah, blah. At that point in time where I said I'm not a good manager, that's when things started changing for me. And then all these things started happening. The positive things started happening because I allowed myself to analyze my manager while he was doing the appraisal and saying, but why is he looking away every time he's talking about, the performance of the company? Right, the company is not really doing well, Anto, and this year it's going to be tough for us to give appraisals, and the company's. It's like, okay, I'm here. Okay, whereas before I completely missed this. Yeah. I gave it as face value, saying, okay, he's just looking around, or whatever the case may be. And then I said, okay, why is he looking around?
New things are coming when you get curious. I think.
Sure.
Because when you say, okay, I'm here, I know what I know, I'm gonna do my best, and period, then you're not really open. But when you become curious, you might ask yourself a lot of questions. Why they are doing that? Why? What is that? What does that even mean? Why they are doing like that with their hands? Why? You get curious and then you answer your own questions. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. So this is very, very interesting. Going back to the body language and the microexpressions. Maybe not all of our audience, they know what microexpressions are. So shall we explain what is microexpression?
So microexpression is an expression on the face, and there are 7 universal expressions: happy, sadness, disgust, contempt, and so on and so forth. So a microexpression lasts for less than a second. It's like 1/25th of a second, right? So it's faster than a click of your finger. And it is very difficult to tell the microexpression if, first of all, you're not looking at the person when you're communicating with them. Second of all, when you're not analyzing the face. So I'm looking at you right now, but I've analyzed everything from head to toe, where your feet are, where your hands are, and so on and so forth. And the third thing is, it doesn't happen on a regular basis. It happens when you feel a specific emotion to what I'm saying, but you're looking to suppress that emotion. So for example, if I say, your name is Vaso, right? And you're like, yeah. And I say, I really hate that name. Your first instinct is like, what is he talking about? Who the hell does he think he is saying Vaso's a silly name when Anto is even a more silly name? Your face will tell me this, right? But again, 25th of a second. So it's super quick. It's super fast.
So we cannot fake it.
So no, you cannot fake it because it happens subconsciously.
Okay.
So I can't say, oh, I'm going to show a sign of disgust, but let me say sign of happiness. And I was like, it doesn't happen. It happens without you knowing it. This is why, even Lie to Me, they have the cameras on your face, HD, 4K, 8K, whatever it was, lighting, and they'll analyze. They even analyze the pupil dilation of the pupil. If you're feeling stress, if you're lying, if you're withholding information, if you're not holding with information, if you're being truthful. So,
but is there a room for wrong interpretation?
Yes.
I mean, maybe I hear something and I'm puzzled.
Yes.
And you take it like I'm angry or I'm... is there a room for...
There is. That's why, first of all, I need to know the baseline. I need to get to know you.
Okay.
All right. Do you do this on a regular basis? I need to know this, right? If that's you and that's how you process something. So for example, if someone tells me, Anto, what is the capital of Zimbabwe? And I'm like, Zimbabwe? It doesn't mean that I'm disgusted or angry. This is how I think, right? And you can tell by these lines here. I do this often. So that's my baseline. So if you ask me something and say, Anto, can you work late tonight? I'm going to be like, can I work late tonight? Because I'm thinking, do I have anything else planned tonight? Will I be able to work late tonight? Not because I'm angry, because you're asking me to work overtime. Okay. So the baseline is very important.
Okay. When I start working with a new team, I make this disclosure every time that I want you to know that sometimes when I think I look angry, and I tell them that from the beginning.
That's your baseline.
Yeah, because I tell them I don't need to I don't need them to figure it out. I don't need them to feel awkward when they see my face and they see me look angry. So also to our audience, I'm saying that when I'm thinking, sometimes I look angry. So full disclosure. So this is my baseline. So thank you for telling that. Okay, what else?
So again, you're looking at the baseline, which is very important. And you're looking at the three main things, not just the microexpressions, but also the body language and the word analytics. So if I saw a microexpression of anger, I'm going to look at your body posture. Is your body posture closed? Do you have your palms clenched and to the side? Do you have this posture, like I'm closed? Do you have your legs crossed, pointed outside towards the door that you want this conversation to end and for you to leave because you're upset? So the body language is also very important. That's the second thing. And what words are you using before your microexpression, during your microexpression, well, maybe after the microexpression? It's that process of 10, 15 seconds of what happened when you did that with your face. Did you say something negative? Did you not say anything that you were supposed to say? Did you use a word just to say, cool, instead of saying, yes, Anto, I understand, or something to that extent? So it's those three things that we need to understand. It's not just the microexpressions, the microexpression, body language, word analytics. Once you have those three, then you have a better understanding. It's not bulletproof, right? It's not foolproof. Okay. You have a better understanding as to what's happening. And then it's up to me to probe and say, Vasamo, the comment that I just made, did that make you upset? I'm sorry if I did, but did that make you upset? And then kind of probe and ask. That's where the communication comes in play.
So when you're telling that, again, I'm thinking that not all of us, they know exactly how to analyze all this. Mm-hmm. So going back to what you said before, that one thing is to learn the person, learn the people of your team, their basis, how they are as people. And then if I would add two elements in that, the second would be make no assumptions. Mm-hmm. And when you see something that your gut feeling is saying that you should ask, Communicate that and ask a clarifying question. Maybe how does this feel for you?
But, and this is also very important for any manager, any person that leads people. Never use what your team says against them. So for example, if I say, look, Vasuma, we need to work overtime tonight. And you say, look, Anto, I can't because I need to go home and, it's my son's football ceremony today. So your son's football ceremony is more important than the business, than the company. They say people have a tendency of doing this. So never use that against them, right? Because if you do this once, they're not going to be open with you, and they're not going to give you their baseline. They're just going to be like a robot. And then all of a sudden they're going to wake up one morning and that person's left the company. Why? Because she just found another job or he found another job. So don't use that against them. So how do you feel from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the highest? How do you feel today? Oh, I feel like a 6. Oh, you feel like a 6, but you're never happy. Don't do that. Say, why are you a 6?
We tend also to take things personally. I mean, maybe you're 6 because... it doesn't have to do with me. I mean, if I take it that personally as a team leader, I mean...
So again, that's the 69% that's uncomfortable having communication with the team because they're afraid of that feedback. So again, remember what I said, it's 2 ways, right? So if I'm going to ask you a question, you're probably going to ask me another question. And I'm going to have to give you the answer. If I say, whatever the case may be, I said something and you turn around and say, Anto, you know what? I think you could have actually run the meeting a little bit better today. My first reaction is, who the hell are you to tell me how to run a meeting? I'm the manager, right?
Yeah, because you just use the word better. And what does better mean for you, for me, for anyone else? I mean, it's...
Maybe that's the only positive word that I know. It's how you could have done it better. Or there was
Which has a lot of judgmental thoughts behind
But in
it.
my opinion, I'll be like, okay, what could I have done better? I don't mind. I love having that feedback. And you might have valid points or you might have invalid points, but they're valid for you. And I appreciate that. So the next meeting, I'll take that on board and I'll keep that in mind to say, no, she feels like this, he feels like this. But to have that communication is super important. But like I said, you need to be able to know the baseline of the person. Baseline of the person is very important. Who are they?
Okay. And let's reverse that. How can we make sure that we send the right signals?
Okay.
Many times we might see people, even us, I mean, we might want to say something and the moment we say it, we realize that it didn't land. What we had in our mind didn't land the way we thought it would. So how can we make sure that we send the right signals?
Again, there's a couple of things. First of all, you need to have sufficient amount of eye contact. So when you're delivering something, when you're having a meeting, you need to have eye contact with each person within the team, right? Don't just have eye contact with the person you feel most comfortable in having eye contact with. Why? Because if there's a room of 10 people, and I get along with you better because we have the same mindset, we have the same mentality, we have the same work ethics, and we say, we both support the same football team, for example, that happens in Cyprus. I'll end up having a team meeting with just Vaso and not the rest of the 9 team members. And what happens is that by having more eye contact with you rather than the rest of the team, the other team says, oh, Vasos is, his special employee, his special member of the team. So automatically, anything that I say after that, they're not going to take on board, right? 100%. So eye contact is very important with each and every one in your team. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you're delivering something, when you're asking something, when you are directing something, when you're instructing something, you have to show your body posture and your body language being, I'm here because I'm the manager, I'm here to work with you guys, right? And we're going to get through this, whatever it is, whether it's a project, whether it's a deadline, whatever the case may be. And the body language, it's basic stuff. Straight posture, so don't slouch or put your feet on the table or put your feet as a 4. I mean, open legs, sitting up and having a communication with your team, straightforward, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is make sure that you're utilizing your hands properly. Never go like this and put them on the table. I've seen this happen many times without them knowing, or having this and putting them on your legs. That shows that you're not subconsciously, it shows that you're not open to any discussions as soon as you stop speaking. So if I'll be scared to say, Anto, but can I ask? No, don't ask me a question because this is closed, right? The basic stuff, don't put your arms around your closed off like this because it shows it's negative, but it might show that for me, it's a way of soothing myself because I don't like having meetings with my team, like 69% of the people in the US do. So don't give off closed off body posture. So don't do this. Don't have closed fists, and sit in front of the person, have enough eye contact, and incorporate the team. I mean, when you speak to someone, you literally sit down and you face, I don't want to move too much, but you sit down and you face that person, right? If I had a meeting and I'm sitting like this and I'm talking to you in a weird way, I'm not here, and you feel that I'm not here. I don't want to be here. So let's just do this, bum, 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 quickly, and then let's go. And then the basic stuff, like, don't constantly look at your watch every time you have a meeting. Like, yeah, tell me, what is it that you wanted to tell me? No, it's important. I need to know. Don't do that. Mobile. Don't put the mobile in front of you and start, I have an important email. That email can wait. It's 5-10 minutes. Trust me, it can wait.
Many times we do minor things without realize how big impact they have. In the maybe I check my watch to see how much time we have, but checking my watch makes you feel like, okay, I'm in a hurry.
Yes.
Okay. So we don't realize that the impact they have. In other people. So how can we be more aware of our body language? How can we be more aware of what is it that I'm doing? For example, let me again give you something personal. Before I start those videos, I didn't know some of my expressions. I didn't know some of my body language, hand gestures that I was doing. Then I was watching some videos back and I was like, once I got this feedback from a friend, a very good friend, and I love this feedback from friends because it's actually useful. Every time I was talking and I was saying something, I was doing this, and then I was finishing, and I was doing this movement. And he texted me, and he told me, Vasomo, your video was excellent, your content was excellent, but pay attention to this movement that you do with your lips. I didn't even realize it was there. And when I received this message, I went back, watched this, and I thought, oh my God, I'm doing that. And I did that like 15 times in 1 minute. So, and I wasn't doing that before, I wasn't doing that after, but in that period of my life, when I shoot those videos, I was doing this thing. And
so the most important thing that you can do, and it's the easiest thing, is what you've done yourself. Just record yourself. So just put the mobile phone. For example, you're a manager. You're going to have team meetings, for example. Make up a mock team meeting with an agenda. Put the camera in front of you. Act as if your team is there and say, "Okay, guys, we're going to start the meeting today. Okay, so we're going to talk about KPIs. Let's discuss about the KPIs," as if you're speaking to your team into the camera. And just record yourself. 5-10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Just 5 minutes. It's going to feel awkward in the beginning. It's going to feel very awkward, but it's going to give you an insight to things that you never knew that you were doing, first of all. It's going to give you insight to things that you were saying that you never knew. So, for example, there was a business owner who said, when I have meetings, I usually lose my employees during the meeting. Like, I just lose their concentration. I find it difficult to regain their concentration. So I said, "Are you doing anything with your body language?" He said, "No." I said, "Are you saying something?" He said, "No, I'm aware, I'm self-aware about what I'm doing. I've got a high level of emotional intelligence." So I said, "Okay, maybe you can record yourself, or I can sit in the meeting." He goes, "Okay, maybe you come and then you can tell me what I'm doing wrong." Within maybe a 10-minute team meeting, he probably used the word I don't know, a gazillion times, right? So this morning, we're a lot of work that we need to do, and I lose myself if I'm doing this, right? And when I said this to him after the team meeting, he's like, "No, that's not right. Me? I'm doing that? Really? I'm doing that?" So the next team meeting, he recorded him. So I told him, "Put your mobile there, get the consent of the rest of the team, and just record yourself. And just tell your team that I'm doing this to be able to improve myself and blah, blah, blah." And he did this. And it was like, and he sent me a text just saying, "OMG." That's what he did, just OMG. If I say it, you're not going to take it on board. You did, because you've got that emotional intelligence of, I need to better myself. And this person isn't just saying something because they're just trying to be nasty and they're jealous. They're saying it because they see something in me that I can improve on. And kudos to that friend, and also to you for taking that on board.
And again, it depends who gives you the feedback.
Bravo,
I mean,
exactly,
if you have the relationship, if you know that the other person gives that genuinely and they care, which goes back to the team leader. If they treat you as a person, they care, and they are genuine, you will listen to their feedback. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So I think the easiest thing is just record yourself. Do that 2 or 3 times, right? Mock even do like an appraisal. Record yourself doing an appraisal to your employee, one of your employees. Just pick an employee and say, okay, this is the appraisal. I'm going to do this. And look at yourself while you're doing the appraisal, and you'll get to see a different side of yourself, which you've never seen before, right? I've done that multiple times. And I was like, do I actually do that? Do I actually say that? Do I actually raise my tone? Sometimes I raise my tone high because I get passionate.
Yeah.
But that puts off people. I was like, why is he screaming? Why is he angry?
Yeah.
So, the ums actually killed it. And it was and he didn't believe me when I said it. But when he recorded himself and he rewatched that 10 minutes of that meeting, it was just OMG. He never believed that was possible. So I think the one thing to take away from this is just record yourself. Put your mobile there. Everyone has a mobile phone nowadays. Just put it there and record yourself in your everyday. If you have a call, if you have a meeting, if you are a salesperson, for example, if you're a sales manager, whatever the case may be, do what you do on a day-to-day basis, but just record yourself.
And now we have all these Zoom meetings, so we can easily ask for consent and record that meeting and watch it later on. But first question we need to ask ourselves is, what is it that I might doing that I have no idea that I'm doing it, and it might send mixed signals? And by asking that questions, we open up and we try to find the answers.
Yes.
And raising the awareness is probably the first step to change anything.
It's accepting that you're not this superhero manager, right?
That you thought that you were.
That you thought you were. I'm telling you, when I realized, when I sat myself down and I said, Anto, you suck as a manager, that's when I started growing. Because prior to that, I thought I knew what to do. It's easy. I just delegate things. That's what managers do.
It's easier to blame others, though. It's easier to blame others. They are not engaged. They are not engaged. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't like their job as much as I do. So it's easier to blame other people and not take responsibility. So
another company, they had an issue with the high turnover of a specific position in the company. And when I spoke to the owner of the company, I said, so why do you think you're having an issue in filling this specific position? Because people come in, they go, and they come and they go. And his response was, because we haven't found the right person. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you are completely oblivious to the fact as to why they are leaving. So again, communication. If someone is leaving my team, I would say, let's do an exit interview. Why are you leaving? I need you to be honest with me. Is it the salary? Is it this? And get them to tell you the reason why. They're leaving and they have nothing to lose.
But they give us all these answers that I found another job with better salary. And then we believe that.
Okay.
And sometimes it's true. I get it. Sometimes it's true.
Yeah.
But when you have so big turnover, I mean...
Something is wrong.
Something is wrong. And I have some clients that they say, okay, this is our industry. This is how our industry is. Everybody has the same problem. All companies in our area, in our industry, they have the same problem. And I'm like, it should have been something that you could have done differently. I mean, but having this idea that it's our industry, this is how it is, I mean, then how can you step into your curious thinking? How can you become more aware of what you need to change? How if you put this statement that this is it, this is how our industry works, how can you change anything?
So again, the reason why I'm laughing is because I had an example. So some time ago, and when he watches this, he'll know I'm talking about him. He told me, there's this lady, she's leaving. Can you do the exit interview with me so I can ask the right questions? So doing the exit interview, he started asking specific questions, and he said, why are you leaving? And she said, because I found another job and it's paying 300 euros more, 400 euros more, if I'm not mistaken. So he said, okay, is there anything else? And she said, no. And he said, are you happy here? And she said, yes, I've always been happy. You've been a nice boss. Everything that she's supposed to say, she said. So when she left, I sat down with him and I said, look, to be honest with you, it's not about the money that she's leaving, right? There is something else. I don't want to get involved because you didn't give me the green light to get involved. I was just a bystander, just observing. But there's something else. And he's like, no, she's leaving. She loves what she's doing here, but she's just leaving for the money. I think she just gave birth or something to that extent. So the money was tight. So I said, okay, just follow her on LinkedIn and you'll see if she's gone to another company, right? You say, hey, I'm taking this position. And 2 or 3 months passed and she hadn't updated her LinkedIn profile. So I called him and I said, hey, by the way, I noticed that this person hasn't updated a LinkedIn profile. Is she working? Is she, what's happening? And he said, no, the job didn't end up happening, the job that she was going to go to. And I was like, okay, so is she back to you? And he's like, oh, no, she found something else. Do you understand what's happening? Do you understand that she left because she didn't want to be here? Anyway, so long story short, I spoke to her. We met for coffee. She wanted actually to speak to me to say things that the reason why she left the business, the company. And one of the things was that she didn't feel that she was respected by this business owner, right? So he was speaking to her in like not in a nice way, like I'm the owner of the business, I know what's right kind of thing. But she had good ideas and she just felt that she couldn't progress in the company. So when I went back and I said, this is the reason why, he was shocked. He's like, but I would never think of this. So again, going back to the exit interview, it's also asking the right questions, but seeing what is the body language. So is it just about the money? Usually if I say I'm going to get a higher salary, that's the end of the conversation, right? You're not going to say, okay, I'll pay you more. You're going to say, okay, I'm sorry to see you leave, and then you'll leave. Then on your form you say, Maria left because of the salary, or Kostas left because of the salary. It's not always about
Case
the salary.
closed, huh?
Exactly, because we don't want to have that communication to find out on those, why is the reason you're leaving? So I would say, other than the salary, what other reasons are there that you're looking to change your position? And then the truth comes out, right? I'm going to get my own office. The culture is different. They have Champagne Fridays. They have Pizza Thursdays. They have Sushi Tuesdays. Something that's over and above, that's the reason why they're leaving. So you need to be able to communicate. But again, body language, eye contact, and the words they're using is super important.
So we talked about body language, we talked about microexpressions, and the third aspect of your expertise is words analytics.
Yes.
How can we send the wrong message with our words? I mean, I'm here, I'm trying to say things in the right way, but I'm using the wrong words. What are there even wrong words that we shouldn't probably use? Words are carrying energy with them.
Yes.
I mean, some of the words that we don't even realize how judgmental they are.
Yes.
Like the word right. You did it right. And the next time you feel like I'm spotting your mistake.
Yeah. True.
Or can I give you some feedback to make it better?
Yeah.
And now, what does this even mean? So words are carrying their energy. And I want you to tell us, are there no-go words that we shouldn't use at all in as a team leaders with our team?
So again, there's not a one-size-fits-all. Some people like to be spoken to that way, like you could have done this better, and that motivates them, right? Not to sugarcoat things.
Okay.
You have some people that want that direct feedback. You have some people that can't take that direct feedback. So you have to kind of, very well done. You're talking about the sandwich, very well done. I like the way that you've done this process. Let me ask you a quick question. When you did the research, did you also take into consideration the statistics pertaining to Germany, for example? They haven't because it's not there in the statistics. And they're going to be like, oh, no, Antomo, I kind of missed that. Okay, cool. Anyway, like I said, fantastic job. Next time when we can do this, maybe add the German results as well. And that's going to affect the research model that we're trying to run. Fantastic. So you've kind of given that feedback in a constructive way. It takes more energy from you to be able to tippy-toe in a nice way to get your point across. But you get your point across and they take it on board without feeling negative, without feeling inferior.
But I believe you should be kind to people, not nice all the time.
Well, you need to treat people the way that you want people to treat you. Simple as that.
Is it?
I mean,
what if I like challenges? What if I like people to challenge me, be judgmental? Or what if I like competition? Not all of the people, they like that.
Beautiful. So during that part, when you're recruiting people to fill a team, to have a team of 5-6 people, you will end up recruiting people and placing people in your team that are aligned to your way of working, to your methodology, to your thinking patterns, to your work ethics, and so on and so forth. If that makes any sense. So when I'm doing the recruiting phase, I don't want to choose someone that's they call them a steady Eddie. I will do whatever it's being told to me, right? No, I want you to challenge. I want you to say, why don't we do this in Excel and use VBA, for example? Why don't we just have a macro to push the button and it formulates for you? Why am I doing this manually? Why can't we export this from the system and then crunch the data accordingly? I like people to question things. That's why in every single team that I ran, I didn't hire the people that are yes men. I hired the people that are outside the box thinkers and they're logical thinkers, as in, why don't we do it this way? It might be the right way, it might be the wrong way, but still, it might be a way which I've never taken that into consideration.
If I would add on that, I would say hire, know what you want from people you hire.
Yes.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all. Again, maybe I want cognitive diversity in my team. Maybe I want people to think differently because I think in a specific way, and I want different people. And maybe this is more challenging. Not maybe. This is more challenging, but you get to reduce the blind spots. But because if we all think the same way, we will have big blind spots. But maybe you want people in having specific values or specific behaviors or think in a specific way.
Yes.
Fair enough, but know what you're looking for when you hire people.
So again, another experience came into mind. Many years ago, I was hiring for a specific position. It was a analyzing data type of position, right? So crunching the numbers and looking at the numbers and seeing if there's outliers. And someone applied, we did the interview, and I knew off the bat that he's a salesperson, right? He's born and bred sales. For him to be stuck behind a desk crunching numbers for 8-9 hours a day, he's probably going to shoot himself after 3-4 months and he's going to leave. So I told him, look, you can do this job. You know this, I know this. You can do this job. You're smart. But your career is in sales, okay? And I'm not going to give you this job because if I give you this job, I know that you're going to be here 3-4 months just to get the salary and then you're going to look for something else. And initially he was taken aback. And then after a couple of months, he's like, you know what, Anto, I really appreciate you giving me that feedback because I feel the same thing. I feel like I'm a people's person. And this is like an office job. And I know I know I can make it a successful position, but I'm not going to like it here. Anyway, so fast forward 4 years, 5 years, he became one of the top salespeople in the financial industry in Cyprus. Fast forward to another 4 years, he moved to Dubai. And I mean, he's absolutely crushing it. Sales, he's leading teams, he's building teams, he's motivating, mentoring. So it goes back to what you just said. You need to know, as a manager, I need to know what I'm looking for, right? Not just by the CV, not just by what you're telling me, but who are you? Again, we go back to the baseline. I want to know who you are. Do you fit this?
The other day I was recording another episode with an entrepreneur, and she told me how much time they spend in their companies to hire slow, because when you hire slow, you minimize those, because one interview is nothing. Sure. So you can know what is it that I can stay here for half an hour, pretend I'm someone that I'm not, show that I know things that I don't know. Okay, you're a microexpressions expert and you might catch this, but most of the people, they don't. So just one interview, it's nothing to choose people. Now, going back to the word analytics, what is it that our audience needs to know if they are a team leader? What is it that they need to know about words they use with their teams?
So the first thing is they need to use precise and clear words.
What does this even mean? What does clear words mean?
Clear and precise as to, like you said, know what you want. There's an agenda for the meeting. I know what the conclusion of this meeting is going to be. This person is going to be involved in that. That person is going to be involved in that. And that person is going to take lead in the project. It's precise. Never be ambiguous in the stuff that you're saying. Right? It's kind of hot, but it's also warm. And it's not that cool inside, but outside, no. Today is a hot day. End of story. Be clear. Clarity. Employees, teams, they need clarity. They're looking for you for advice. Think of yourself as a father or the mother of a family. And the kids are your team, right? The kid is going to look up to the parent and say, hey, can I do this? Can I take this knife and cut the apple? Right? Can I walk the dog by myself? Can I jump in the swimming pool?
And very often I see those team leaders, directors, managers, that they speak too much. They start to explain something and they speak for 10 minutes. And then you give the message, but can you give the message with less words? And then allow the pause, the space for other people to ask questions, have a conversation, rather than start talking and then 5 minutes later, people are like... looking
at the mobile, looking at the
Come
watch,
on,
looking
finish,
outside.
point taken, and then you have no. And then I've seen that, and then you want this meeting to end so badly that you don't want to ask another question because that will mean 15 more minutes of you talking, and we don't realize that we're doing that.
So be precise and stick to the specific things at hand. I've been in many meetings where people, just for the sake of taking up time, they'll raise their hand and they'll ask a question, right? And that question is going to take about 15 minutes for the boss to answer or the manager to answer. Don't fall into the trap. Just say, okay, that's a very good question. Let's look at that offline. Let's look at that after the meeting. So the team can go, and if you really still want to have that question with me, you're free to do so. 9 times out of 10, they'll say, no, it's okay, Anto, I figured it out myself, right? Because it wasn't important. The second thing is, it's also very important, is from the clarity perspective, make sure you're using easy words. Now, okay, Greek is different, English is different, but don't use complicated words because people expect you to speak a different language because you're a manager, right? For example, I heard the word deficiencies at a very young age, deficiency, and I thought that was like, you're sick, you're deficient of calcium, or you have rickets, or you have Ebola. And then I realized people use that in the business sense. Now, 9 times out of 10, when you use the word deficiency, not a lot of people understand what is the actual meaning of deficiency, right?
And also, when we hear difficult words, our mind wants to escape. It's the natural tendency. Yes. We don't want to have this cognitive fatigue of trying to understand, explain, analyze what it is that you're saying. So mentally, I'm checking out. And we see that not only in meetings, but also in public speaking.
Yes.
Some people, they are standing there talking with all these difficult words to impress other people.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that even if our audience is full of CEOs, they need simple language to engage.
Yes.
So
they want to just relax. They want to listen to you while relaxing, right? I don't know if you do this. For me, sometimes in order for me to switch off, I'll watch something that has no meaning. Like, for example, Mr. Bean. I'll watch Mr. Bean. It has no meaning. Why? Because I don't need to process my mind to understand. I'm not going to watch a thriller. I'm not going to watch a psychological drama because I need to start. I want to switch off. So that's what I do. I just switch off and watch something basic, something simple. It's like when you buy, for example, furniture from a furniture store, it comes with the instruction manual, right? Majority of the time, we don't go through the instruction manual. We'll try and do it. And then we see that we have 5 screws left over and a plank of wood that's supposed to be there, but it's not, right? We don't want to go through that process of sitting down, reading, analyzing, understanding. So you're 100% right. People just want the dumbed version or the dumbed down version, as they say, of what is that you're doing. If a meeting can last 5 minutes, there is that negative connotation where if a meeting is short, it wasn't beneficial. No, that's not right. No. If you can condense a meeting of 15 minutes into 5 minutes and everyone is on the same page and everyone knows what they're going to do, and as soon as they're out the door, that's a productive meeting. It doesn't need to be half an hour, 3 hours, 10 hours. Yeah. On the flip side, certain meetings can just be emails. Just email and say, guys, this needs to be done. And if anybody has any questions, approach me. So again, like I said, I fell in that trap early on where I thought a meeting needed to last an hour. If it doesn't last an hour, it's not a productive meeting. And then it's like, okay, so what do I talk about? No. So how was your day today? And, how do you even... No, that's not the point of...
And then you end up... we did have an episode with Kate Sotsengo about time management and productivity. And she talked about the Parkinson's law.
Yeah.
That if you have 1 hour, you will make it to an hour. If you have 20 minutes, you will make it into 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So use easy words is another thing that you should do as a team leader.
Yes.
Use simple language. And if I may add on that, sometimes even use metaphors or analogies or like things that are more relatable to people. Yes. It might be easier for them to understand the meaning of what you're saying.
Again, take into consideration the picture that we painted a minute ago where your team are your kids and they look up to you for guidance, for help, for motivation and enthusiasm. So if I walk into a meeting and say, guys, I'm really having a bad day today, that meeting isn't going to go well, right? Because I've set the tone. We all know managers have bad days, right? We've been there, we've done that. But it's to be able to detach yourself and say, I had a bad day. That's okay. I'm now with my team, just like I'm with my family. We're going to have a family dinner and we're going to be happy, open, and have a discussion.
And maybe this is the part that you shouldn't probably share, the sharing too much that we said in the beginning.
Yes.
Maybe you can say, hey guys, full disclosure, today I had this coming up, but maybe you can share that.
Yes.
But if you share it's one thing to share what happened just for the people to see. If I accidentally, raise my voice or do this or do that, have in mind that this happened to me earlier today and I might be more frustrated than usual. This is okay. But if you bring the emotion, that's not okay, because then you gave the emotion to everyone else.
And it automatically gives them the right to have the same emotion. So maybe someone walks in and they're angry and they slam the door. You've done this, I can do this too. So why can you do it? I can't do it.
Of course.
So just going back, I digress. I love the subject, right? I love it. Simple, easy words, and be clear in that meeting. Like we said, don't go to Larnaca if you're traveling to Bafos and then going to Limassol, but you need to be back in Nicosia, right? It's get the quickest route from point A to point B. It's the easiest thing that you can do. And once you start doing this, your team will also say, okay, cool, we're going to have a meeting. It's not going to take too long and it's going to be precise. It becomes conditional behavior, right? Mm-hmm. If you start the meeting negative, they know it's going to be a negative meeting. It's going to be boring. It's going to be long. It's not going to be beneficial, and so on and so forth. So simple words, clarity is very important, and know your team. That's super important. Maybe don't start the meeting at that point in time. Maybe analyze someone who's having a bad day and say, actually, before we start the meeting, since we have another 2 minutes, let's go grab a cup of coffee and take that person out to speak to them and see what the issue is, and then bring them back into the meeting room on an even page. But you need to know your team. That's very important.
And I just wrote a word here. You need to care.
Sure, but not fake care. Right?
No, not fake care, but you need to actually care.
Yes.
You need to actually care about what you're doing. You need to actually care about other people. Because unless you care, you will just go with your tick boxes, your checklist, and you say, this, done my work. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else should done their work and move on. So
it's, again, we're looking at the father-mother relationship, right? With the kids. If you have a kid, you'll do anything for that child. It's exactly the same thing. I need to walk on burning coal for my team because my team is there. They will back me if I back them. So if I say, guys, there is a chance that there is a possibility we need to work overtime, or there is a possibility we need to do this project, we all need to chip in. They will do this because they said, oh, Anto had our back when we needed him 6 months ago, 2 weeks ago. So you have to care, but the care has to be genuine. And I repeat this because I've seen a lot of fake careness.
Yeah.
Whereas they can tell
that is doing even much worse than good. If you don't fake it,
you don't really care, right?
You're don't fake it because in the beginning of my career, I watched a speaker at some time, and she was talking about this shit detector we all have.
Yes.
And she talked about, and maybe this is all about our shit detector. Like, we don't know what it is wrong about you, but I don't really like you, and my shit detector say, okay, you need to protect yourself. Maybe they cannot analyze words, maybe they cannot analyze microexpressions, but their gut feeling, their shit detector will take even the smallest signal that you send if it's not genuine.
Because the subliminal, the subconscious microexpressions of body language, word analytics that you're emitting, subconsciously I'm picking up. That's also very important. So you might be doing something that subconsciously I pick up. So when we finish, I go back and I say, I met Vaso, but there's something about her I didn't like. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
Right? But I've processed something subconsciously that's stuck in my mind. It's embedded in my brain, and I don't know why. On the flip side, we meet. I'm saying, Vaso, she's such a cool person. It's like, how do you know? You spoke to her for like 2 minutes. It's like, no, she's a fantastic person. Because the words that you use, your body parts, your body language, everything showed me that you're interested in my conversation that we're having. Yeah. So again, subconsciously, I process this. So like you mentioned, the shit detector, it's exactly the same thing. It's things that we're picking up subconsciously, and we say, oh, this person is not genuine, right? And you can tell a lot by the person's eye and the eye contact that they have, which is also very important. But yeah, again, it's the three things. Words, what are they using? What kind of tone they're using as well? That's very important. One thing worth mentioning with regards to managers, what they can do is also be careful of the tone. Sometimes when I get passionate, I raise my voice, right? Someone who doesn't know me, they might get offended. They say, why is he shouting? I'm not shouting, I'm passionate. This is what I do, right?
Yeah.
I'm like a motivational speaker out there. So you see, I did but I realized I did the Okay. So clarity, to the point, don't use big words, analyze the room, know the people in your team, and get to know them, get to know their baseline. And then you will feel that everything that any interaction that you'll have with your team, it becomes a little bit more easier as time goes, right? As time goes by, because you know how that person reacts. But you can only know this if you sit down and you speak to them and you get to know them. So yeah, it's golden nuggets. I refer to them as golden nuggets. Everything that they do, and if I get to know you and I understand how you process, how you take criticism, how you are open in exchanging ideas, I know this is you. If I ask for feedback and you don't raise your hand, I'm going to say, why didn't Vaso raise her hand? It's weird, right? Because you usually do. And then but then I need to address this. And that's where the 69% comes in play. I need to communicate. So I was like, Vaso, just a quick second, why didn't you give me any feedback? It couldn't have been such an awesome idea. I know it was my idea, but don't you have any feedback, right? And then I'll get you to say, Anto, I don't like this because I need to work with Maria, and me and Maria, we don't get along, for example. I don't know. But you won't know this until you actually communicate and analyze that person. Why are they closed? Why are they open? And so on and so forth.
So begin with the human relationship, begin with learning with the people that you work with.
Yes.
Start with seeing them, really seeing them for who they are.
Yep.
And then you build from there everything. And also what I keep from our conversation is be open to create more awareness. What it is that you're doing wrong, what it is that, you see, again, I said the word wrong, I don't really like that, but what is it that you're doing and you're sending maybe some mixed signals, okay? So raise your awareness and then practice, because practice makes progress at the end of the day. And
100%.
It is a skill that we can all learn.
I know people watching this will say, oh, you know what, yeah, we do this, we know, and so on and so forth. So I want to set a challenge. I want any manager watching this, anywhere in the world, to literally take a piece of paper, write down their team members' names, and write the facts that they know about them. I'm not talking about, hair color or do they drink coffee and stuff. I mean facts like, are they married? Do they have kids? What kind of car do they drive? What kind of music do they listen to? What's their favorite color? What's their favorite number? When is their birthday? Facts that not everyone knows as a boss or as a manager, right? But a friend would know.
Or maybe, and I like that challenge, and if I may add on that, I will add a question. How they behave when? How they behave when they are angry? How they behave when they are sad? How they behave? Because if you know those basics that you said before, if I know how you behave when you're frustrated, I know your basics, isn't it?
100%, yes. And that's when you actually know the baseline of the person. So if you're frustrated, I can tell I'm not going to push your buttons a little bit more, right? I might take a step back and then we will address this after the meeting. It's important to know your team. So write down your team, write down facts that you know about them. And like you said, emotions. When this person is sad, what do they do? Right? When the person is stressed, what do they do? Some people will take the pen and start tapping the pen. Some people will just go up and down. Some people will just move their feet. Some people start chewing gum. Some people will start taking their chain and playing with their chain. Some people would just, readdress their clothes and realign their clothes every 2-3 minutes. Those are signs of stress.
And it's amazing how other people, they can see those behaviors. So maybe another good idea for our audience is if they are team leaders, they gather their team and they have this 2-hour, 1.5-hour meeting, team building meeting, and they explore these questions. Everybody will say how Anto is behaving when they are angry. And then we laugh and then we exchange all these ideas and we get to know each other more and create this basis together. That will bond us, that will create some team building, and we'll take this to next level.
So there was a company that was they wanted to do company bonding, team building events and so on and so forth. So one of the things I suggested was, okay, you can make things out of cards and make a puzzle and these type of things. That's okay. But what I said is, okay, you need to impersonate someone within your team. So I need to be Maria And Maria needs to be Vaso, and Vaso needs to be Anto, okay?
And then we raise awareness.
And what they do is 9 times out of 10, they will bring up the things that bothers them the most about you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if I'm an angry person and you need to replicate that because now you've taken the card as Anto, you're like, come on guys, we need to sit down, because I'm usually angry, right? But it's an environment where it's all laugh, it's all games.
Yeah.
But you can actually tell. So if I'm a manager, I want to be able to see, how do you see me? And that's very important because that's my baseline for you, right?
Yes. And then you create this collective awareness, which is gold.
Yes.
It's gold in teams to have this collective awareness.
Yeah, definitely.
Anto, thank you very much. That was a brilliant conversation. I would love to have another hour with you, but we need to close this episode. Maybe we'll have another one next season.
Definitely.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.